The San Juan Mountains in southern Colorado are considered one of the oldest and most mineral-rich areas in the United States. By the 1590s, Spanish settlers had established themselves in New Mexico's Rio Grande Valley and began exploring northward in the late 1600s in search of minerals. These explorers named the rugged mountain ranges in southwest Colorado San Juan. Spanish explorers were aware of the mineral wealth in the San Juan Mountains at least 150 years before the California gold rush brought the West's potential riches to light. Despite their findings, the Spanish eventually withdrew to Mexico and their recorded discoveries faded into obscurity. An 1862 map of southwest Colorado labels the area as Park of the Animas, later known as Baker's Park. In the following years, fur trappers ventured into the San Juans, but their primary interest was fur, not mining. An early record of gold discovery in the mountains is credited to a man named Stewart, who was a member of J.C. Fremont's ill-fated fourth expedition in 1848. He kept the spot secret, but upon returning, he was unable to relocate it. It wasn't until the California gold rush of 1849 that the nation's attention turned to the West Mountain ranges. The first major mining rush in Colorado began in 1859 when hundreds of prospectors arrived near Denver and subsequently moved into the mountains. The San Juan Mountains, located in the most rugged and inaccessible parts of the Rocky Mountains, were on the opposite side of the state. Nevertheless, by 1860, a group of prospectors, led by Charles Baker, ventured deep into the mountains and discovered the valley that would become Baker's Park, known as Silverton today. News of Baker's expedition spread, and by 1861, hundreds of prospectors had ventured into the San Juan Mountains with mining towns already laid out. Animas City had the only permanent log cabins. However, this initial rush ended in disappointment as the remote and rugged terrain yielded little placer gold. Many faced starvation, harsh weather, and hostile attacks, leading to the abandonment of dreams of San Juan riches for nearly a decade. Baker was almost hanged on two occasions by angry miners who believed he had not only exaggerated about the gold, but was also not clear about what hazards they would face. By the time the Civil War started, miners left in droves, including Baker, who joined the Confederates. Baker returned to the territory in 1867, but met his death suspiciously, with a companion saying he fell to the Utes, but likely it was his ally who murdered him. Prospectors and miners began returning to San Juan in 1870, with small amounts of placer gold being discovered in Arrastra Gulch. Talk of owning a mine or two was so common that the conversations always turned bigger and richer. However, the area had been designated as Ute land by a treaty with the U.S. government, rendering their presence illegal. Due to this and the harsh survival conditions, they only stayed for a few months at a time over the next couple of years. In 1871, the Little Giant lode saw success, with ore averaging 150 per ton. The military was brought in to keep the Utes and miners apart as the government negotiated a new treaty, the Brunot Agreement, which ultimately reduced the size of the Ute reservation. For the next few years, silver made up 80% of the claims staked, with gold being present in such small quantities that it did not qualify as ore content. In 1874, as Francis M. Snowden planted the first log cabin in the area, the increased load production of the green smelter produced 12 tons daily, growing to about 400,000 of silver bullion by 1879. Two initial settlements were established in the valley known as Baker's Park, Howardsville, and our focus today, Silverton. Howardsville became the first government seat of the newly created San Juan County, but within a few months it moved to what miners only dreamed of, containing silver by the ton, Silverton. It was situated in a wide valley with ample space for the town and mills to process ore and timber. Although the town's growth was slow in the first few years, it steadily increased to 500 voters by 1876. The first sawmill was built around 1873 on Mineral Creek at the foot of Salton Mountain, which facilitated the establishment of stores and housing. The first postmaster delivered mail out of his pocket, while the community raised funds for a log schoolhouse that could also serve as a church and meeting place. There was a small African American community that started a town band and a significant Chinese American diaspora that grew such a successful business enterprise that the white settlers felt threatened and imposed raids by the police to ensure that they had the proper permits. This injustice was mainly due to the Christian church's fear of a second religion in town. The volunteer fire department was quite extraordinary and had a winning record for ladder and hose cart races, including against the neighboring Durango. An article in September 14, 1878 edition of the Colorado Spring Gazette described a traveler's visit to Silverton. We rode into Silverton around 6 o'clock. Despite the town's quiet appearance, we arrived just in time for a shooting match. These matches must be frequent, as the one we witnessed failed to generate any excitement. We didn't even hear the cause or the result, if there were any. When I asked the landlord what was happening, he replied, "Oh, nothing but a little shooting. It is Saturday evening." Rowdiness was not only the cause for concern. Shipping food, mine supplies, mail, and ore was treacherous without safe roadways. In the winter and early spring, mail carriers dumped their load along Stony Gulch, while others let it pile up in the post office. 2 mountain men were hired in 1879 to carry the mail between Silverton and Grassy Hill, the worst of the paths. It took special coordination and an exchange circuit retracing their way back. Ben Harwood would use snowshoes to carry the mail during the winter, while also bringing along mining supplies for the Highland Mary mine. Swan Nielsen was traveling in the snow, taking holiday cards when he was buried in an avalanche, only to be found 2 years later when the snow thawed. By 1880, a trip from Denver on the Rio Grande Railway to Alamosa cost $23, and those venturing further to Silverton by stage would take on another $32. One could expect strong coffee and family-style meals at the stage stop for 75 cents before trudging 143 miles over ruts and chuckholes. And this was only during the 3 months of the year when it was passable. Wagon and toll roads became essential, and due to a boom, the Stony Pass Toll Road and the Denver and Rio Grande Railway extension from Durango to Silverton were completed. Up to 13 newspapers were published here at various times during this decade. The town served as the social, transportation, and commercial hub for numerous mining camps established near the mines, such as Eureka, Animas Forks, Gladstone, Ironton, and others. The San Juan, Colorado Historical Society described the challenges and dangers of early life. Early Silverton was a rough, turbulent, and often violent place. The environment was extremely harsh, and especially during the long, severe winters. Mining was a hazardous occupation with few, if any, safety measures in place. Accidents were common, including falls down open shafts, explosions, and mine collapses. Snow slides claimed many lives. Saloons, alcohol, prostitution, gambling, and robbery were prevalent, leading to frequent violent deaths. Suicides, particularly among prostitutes, were not uncommon. In the town's early years, there were also a few lynchings by local vigilantes. Silverton's fortune changed with the arrival of the Denver and Rio Grande Railway in July of 1882. This crucial rail link connected Silverton to Durango and the wider world, significantly boosting the local mining industry and the town itself. During this time, we witnessed the construction of the Grand Hotel in the Thomas Block, a 4-story native brick building that became a source of pride for Silverton. The hotel could accommodate the most aristocratic of guests and had a dining hall on the ground level that seated 100. Over the years, Thomas Block housed the Silverton Standard newspaper, saloons, Kenyon and Farnsworth hardware, dry goods, office, and guest space on the 2nd floor, and room and boarding on the 3rd. This all would become the Grand Imperial Hotel. By 1885, Silverton had around 1,200 residents, miners came from all over the world. The townspeople worked in banking, butchery, grocery, assay, restaurants, and numerous saloons. Professionals such as physicians, attorneys, and civil engineers contributed to the growing professional class. Lavish celebrations lasting all night is on July 4th, including baseball games, a circus, a parade, horse racing, and friendly competition between neighboring towns, all ending with a grand ball before adjourning at midnight to the Grand Hotel for supper. In the 1880s, the area's mine primarily produced silver, with small quantities of lead, gold, and copper also being extracted. Although not as rich or famous as silver mining centers like Leadville, Aspen, or Georgetown, the San Juan mines were numerous and varied in mineral content. As time passed, more gold was discovered, and as other silver districts declined due to a falling silver price, many Silverton mines diversified and continued to operate. Despite the area's diverse ore, the silver crash of 1893 dealt Silverton a severe blow. The 1890s were challenging for most Colorado mining districts. Still, many San Juan mining companies continued to produce silver, barely making a profit, while also diversifying into gold as discoveries were made. San Juan County surpassed 1 million in gold production for the first time in 1898. Although Silverton was founded on silver, it thrived yearly on 115,000 tons of crude ore. More saw employment, and many clubs and events kept people active outside of work. Blair Street was for the so-called relaxing miner, with its saloons, gambling houses, dance halls, and brothels. At one time, more than 60 girls worked in the parlor or walked the red light district. These soiled doves stayed away from the uptown, while daughters and wives were told not to go near Blair Street. Unsavory businesses would be fined a monthly $5 fee to the city treasurer. By 1905, concrete had soon replaced boardwalks, a library was built, a new city hall, a courthouse, and the Miners' Union Hospital were constructed. The town rose to 3,000 residents. Mining technology continued to improve. New mills were erected, and the county's mineral production exceeded 1 million nearly every year. Silverton was considered the narrow-gauge railroad capital of the U.S., as no less than 4 separate rail lines ran through the town and was one of the most important mining centers in the state, alongside Cripple Creek and Telluride. After World War I, the Colorado mining industry experienced a prolonged decline, mainly due to declining metal prices throughout the 1920s. The 1929 stock market crash and the ensuing Great Depression further exacerbated the situation. By 1933, only 5 mines remained operational, and some of these only functioned seasonally. During this period, the Shenandoah Dives mine emerged as the district's leading producer, managed by Charles Chase. This mine played a crucial role in Silverton's survival during the 1930s. Chase kept the mine and mill running despite plummeting metal prices, employing around 250 local men, providing food for the unemployed, and uniting the community by lowering housing costs and prices for essential goods. The Shenandoah Dives mine ceased production in 1953. Around this time, Silverton's population was just over 1,300, but by 1957, following the mine closures, it had dwindled to 890. As Colorado's mining industry declined, tourism interest surged during the prosperity post-war economy. Silverton's stunning mountain valley location made it an attractive tourist destination despite its challenging accessibility. This has been Biographies of the West. My name is Lorin Morgan-Richards. Thanks for watching.